How you going, guys? Dean from Blog for the Blood God here. I've got Will Summer with me today, and we're going to be doing a 1750 point battle report. And this is a practice game for Preferred Enemy, which is a tournament that we will both be attending this weekend. So without further ado, I'll run you through my list. So it's a battalion detachment. We have Be'lakor in one of the HQ slots, and also a Dark Apostle. Then in my troop slots, I have 4 units of 5 Khorne Berserkers. Every single one of them has a chain sword and a chain axe, with the exception of the champions, which have a chain sword and a power fist in all of those units of 5. And there's also a unit of 9, which is the same loadout, all chain axes and chain swords, and a power fist chain sword on the champion. And basically these 2 units of 5 jump in that rhino, these 2 units of 5 jump in that rhino, and then the Apostle and the unit of 9 jump in the 3rd and final rhino. Then in my heavy support slots, I have 2 Predators with las cannon side sponsons and a Predator autocannon on the top, and round it all out with a Helldrake toting a Bale Flamer. So that's my list. Will, want to run us through yours? What do we got?
Right, so we've got a Supreme Command detachment to start with. So we've got a Wolfguard Battle Leader on a bike with a Thunderhammer and a Storm Shield, and we've got good old Logan in there as well.
Good old Logie Bear.
Alright, we've also got a Wolf Lord on Thundercav, and we've got Mr. Gnarl here as well. Alright, on top of that, so it's a Vanguard detachment and a Supreme Heavy detachment. So in the Vanguard detachment, we've got the Elite's choice of a Wolfguard unit of Bikers, we've got a unit of Terminators, and we've got a unit of Wolfguard on foot with or with Combi Plasmas. Alright, in the dedicated transport slot, we've got a Drop Pod, and we've got 2 units in a heavy support slot of Long Fangs. They're not the correct models, but I'm just using these while I'm still finishing off the other ones. So we've got a unit of what will be missile launchers and a unit of heavy bolters.
Fantastic. And what loadout do you got on the termies? All Storm Shields?
So
or
mixed loadout on there. So we've got 3 with Storm Shield Thunderhammers.
Yep.
We've got the Wolfguard Battle Leader in the pack with Twin Lightning Claws or Wolf Claws. And then we've got a guy with an axe, a Storm Bolter, and a Cyclone missile launcher.
Fantastic. Any upgrades on the bikes?
So there is a Wolfguard Leader with a Power Fist.
Yep.
There's a Pleb with an axe, and a Pleb with a Power Sword.
Fantastic. Alrighty, so we're going to roll up our mission, roll up deployment, and all those bits and pieces, and we'll get right back to you. Alrighty, guys, so we've just finished deployment. We rolled up Contact Lost, which is the Maelstrom of War mission, where basically you get 1 tactical objective card at the start of the game, and then at the start of every turn you draw 1 additional card up to 6 for every objective marker that you control. So I won the roll off to deploy first, so I started deploying over here. My deployment went Predator, Predator, Rhino, 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 Helldrake, Be'lakor, and then Will's got his missile launcher devs up here, heavy bolter devs there, bikes there, characters in the corner, and then a drop pod full of dudes. So we rolled to seize the initiative, and Will failed. He then used a command point to reroll his seize, and he also failed that. So that pretty much sums it up, and we're going to jump into my turn 1. Alrighty, guys, here we have the end of my first turn. 4 tactical objective cards. I drew Defend Objective number 2, which is conveniently placed in my backfield. So I've kept that, but I have to hold it at the end of Will's turn. So he has the potential to stop me from scoring that card if he wants. Then basically the Rhinos all moved forward. The Helldrake moved up this way to engage the missile launcher Devastators. And Be'lakor moved forward, then used his Psychic Power Warp Time to move again. And then he charged the unit of Bikers. For his Warlord trait, I gave him the +1 attack, so he was striking with 7 attacks, hitting on 2s, re-rolling. He basically completely fucked that unit of bikes down to 1 man standing, and then that last guy died to morale. So that gave me first blood. The Helldrake used his Bale Flamer on the missile launcher dudes and then charged them, and killed them down to a single man left. And in shooting, the Predators peppered some shots into the heavy bolter dudes and the missile launcher dudes, just hoping to get them across that morale check threshold and hope to kill some extra that way. Also, so that it obviously decreases the amount of damage he's putting out with those units this turn. So that pretty much summarizes my turn. Pretty happy with the position I'm in, but we're going to jump into Will's turn. He's got some stuff to come in from Deep Strike, so we'll see what he does.
Right, so first turn was pretty fucking bad for me, to say the least. Flying Hell Drakes and stupid shit that can move many inches of, like, based on psychic powers. Anyway, so I basically dropped down very defensively, trying to kill stuff and try and basically, you know, extend my life in this game.
So that guy fell back?
So my guy fell back. My Long Fang, who was up here, alright, he fell back. Basically, I dropped down all my plasmas and everything and blasted his Helldrake, which is no longer there. In return for blowing up the Helldrake, it fucking exploded and killed my Long Fang anyway. So that was completely pointless. Heavy Bolters did 9/10 of fuck all. And then we did make an 11-inch charge on old Be'lakor over here. Didn't help. Did a number of wounds, but not enough. And basically, yeah, he murdered some Terminators in return. So, all good.
Alrighty guys, that rounds out my turn too. So, movement phase, I just moved this Rhino back a little bit so that I was still holding objective number 1. This Rhino moved back a little bit so I was holding objective number 6. And then this Rhino moved over so that he was holding objective number 4. So, and I'm also obviously holding objective number 2 from the previous turn. So I've got a pretty commanding control over the objectives. I'm also holding underneath Be'lakor, I believe there was an objective. Yep, objective number 5. So I've got a pretty commanding control over the objectives. And basically knowing that Will had more or less just got foot slogging guys all the way back here, I decided to play a slightly defensive game, because I still obviously have long-ranged units, and make him come to me. Be'lakor then, in the Psychic phase, he used Smite and whatever the Chaos Psychic power is. Hang on, let me just remember the name. The one what does stuff. Shut up, Dan. Infernal Gaze. So I used those two powers combined to take out those Terminators. I was really hoping that I could take out the Terminators with Smite and then use the Warp Time Psychic power to be able to move Be'lakor in the Psychic phase. But unfortunately, I did not roll up well enough. But it's all good, because I'm still controlling the table pretty well. So I get Aerial Denial. Last turn, I got Defend Objective 2, because I still held it. So I get Area Denial. And my other two are Secure Objective 3 and Defend Objective 3, which is all the way over here. And I don't really like my chances of getting it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to voluntarily burn Defend Objective 3, but I'll keep Secure, because I can do that in a single turn, whereas I can't defend it in a single turn. And then I'm obviously going to score Denial, which I get D3 victory points, because there's nobody within range of the center of the table. So let's roll up our D3, and there's a 6. So there's 3 victory points straight out the gate. Alright, it's looking really good, but we'll see. Will might have some tricks up his sleeve, who knows. Will, you got tricks up your sleeve?
So my turn, didn't really have a lot of options. It was pretty much in a fucked up place. So I managed to get one plasma gun in range to shoot Be'lakor, took a couple of wounds off him. Other than that, I just moved forward and yeah, I hope to take the punishment. All good.
Guys, here we have the end of my turn. So we had the Berserkers disembark from their Rhino, as did the Apostle. And they charged the Wolf Lord on a Thunder Wolf.
You need to take a leadership test.
And killed him. Yeah, I need to take a leadership check on there, but we'll do that in a sec. Then we had this Rhino moved over onto objective number 5. This Rhino moved over onto number 4. And the Preds stayed on number 2. The Preds fired into the Wolf Lord on the Thunder Wolf, just to chip him down, make him a little bit weaker so that the Berserkers could finish him off. And other than that, we had Be'lakor, who flew up this side of the table. He then used his psychic power to move again, and then he charged Logie Bear, Logan Grimnar. Unfortunately, he completely whiffed his attacks, and Logan rolled really well for his invulnerable saves, resulting in no wounds taken. Then, Logan, in return, killed Be'lakor. So that was really unfortunate. But the cream on the cake was that the Berserkers, once they disembarked and assaulted, they killed the Wolfguard Battle Leader. No, the Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf. Will also engage with his Wolfguard Battle Leader on a bike, who killed off a couple of Berserkers. And other than that, that more or less sums it up. So I had 9 Berserkers. I now have 5, so I lost 4. Leadership 8. So 4 plus 5 is 9. Leadership 8, so 1 more dies. Oh, fuck it. Yeah, so 1 more Berserker dies. As for cards, my active objectives were defend 4 and defend 5. So I've got 5 there and 4 there. So I get 4 because I held that last turn as well. Then I had behind enemy lines, which I get. That I was hoping to get 3 units by having Be'lakor alive and the Apostle in, but it doesn't look like I got that because I believe his deployment line ran somewhere like here. So the Rhino is probably in and the Berserkers are in, but Be'lakor's not. So I get 1 victory point for that. I didn't get Kingslayer because Be'lakor whiffed. I do get no prisoners because I killed the Wolf Lord. And secure objective 3 is over here, so I don't get that one either. So now my active objectives are kill Kingslayer, defend 5, so as long as he doesn't kill me off of this one, I get that. And get number 3. So yeah, we'll jump into Will's next turn and we'll see. He's probably going to mop up the rest of these Berserkers, but we'll see what it does for him.
Yeah, alright, so not looking great. Not looking great at all. So we cleaned up the Berserkers, a little bit of damage to the Rhino, way on the back foot. I got a bit of psychic coverage, but not much else is happening. So yeah, so just got to...
We had these guys did the damage to the Rhino.
To the Rhino, so they took off how many wounds?
It's got 4 left, so they took 6 wounds.
Yep.
Then Logan basically butt-fucked the Zerkers.
Yep.
And the Wolfguard Battle Leader finished him off.
So it basically moved a bit, but no, I was hoping for a bit of a...
Did you even draw cards?
I don't have any cards to draw.
Oh, because you have to be holding an objective marker in order to...
So, can't draw cards, stuck in a position that's really bad, but yeah, I got my cover bubble up, we'll see how it goes.
You have it, guys, the end of my turn 4. So the Predators remain stationary, this Rhino remains stationary, this Rhino remains stationary. The only movement that took place was this Rhino over here, he moved and advanced and got himself onto objective number 3. I then fired everything the Predators had at this guy, and every single shot deflected off that Storm Shield. So I got secure objective number 2 here. I got defend objective 5 over here. I got secure objective 5 over there. And then I had Kingslayer, secure objective 3, and Blood and Guts. So I got secure objective 3 here. But I did not get Kingslayer or Blood and Guts. I was really hoping with the Predators to maybe pop him with the first one and then pop him with the second. I know that was being optimistic, but fuck it, it was worth a shot. But I did still manage to score these 4 objectives this turn. I'm going to go ahead and discard Blood and Guts at the end of my turn, because I don't like my chance of killing anything in close combat anytime soon. So I'll discard that and I'll secure those. And then we'll jump into Will's turn 4.
Alright guys, so my turn 4 wasn't great. Managed to blow up the Rhino, get the dude out, didn't die, didn't explode. Nothing super exciting, just punched my jet bike over there to try and hold an objective, but otherwise, yeah, pretty just trying to get what I can get from nothing.
Yeah, interestingly, when the Rhino exploded, and I intentionally put the Apostle out the back as far away from his units as I possibly could to minimize his charge range. So that's something that a lot of people might not necessarily think of, so I thought it's worth sharing.
Yeah.
And as a result, he needed a 9-inch charge, and we rolled an 8.
Yeah.
So
just
it
failed.
was worth it. Whereas if I had gone, I'll just chuck him out the front or chuck him up, it might not have worked. So worthwhile.
Worthwhile. All right, cool.
Alrighty, guys, here we have the end of my turn 5. It was actually kind of savage for me. Predators fired into Logan, did no damage. Once again, everything deflecting off his armor. Then the Dark Apostle, in a desperate gambit, charged Logan and failed to kill him, and then got killed in return. The reason I did that is I had Secure Objective 2, which I automatically get with the Predators, but then my other cards were Kingslayer, which I was really hoping to get, but failed. Then I had Big Game Hunter, which I wasn't going to get, Scour the Skies, which I wasn't going to get, and it's Secure Objective 1, which I also was not going to get. So I'm going to discard Scour the Skies at the end of my turn. I'm going to score Objective 2, and then I'll hold on to 1, 3, and Kingslayer. And then we'll jump into Will's turn 5, and then we'll roll to see if the game continues.
Another turn of me not doing much, just moved on to some objectives. Just mainly consolidating what left I have on my position. Now I'll move forward and managed to smite the Rhino. Did a little bit of damage, not a great deal. Niall failed his charge distance, he needed an 8 and was nowhere near it on double ones.
You rolled Snake Eyes on Logan, wasn't it?
Snake Eyes on Logan, what a champion. No command points left, so I couldn't re-roll it and wouldn't probably re-mat it anyway. So yeah, we're going to roll. Dean's going to roll it right now to see if the game goes on.
On camera. So a 1 or a 2, it's game over. 3, so we get 1 more turn.
We go on.
Potentially 2.
For another turn. I got score objective 2, which I can't do anything fucking with. So I'm going to burn that and over to Dean.
Alrighty, there we have the end of my turn 6. So we had the Berserkers disembark from this Rhino to engage Logan. And then the 2 Predators fired at the drop pod down the backfield and killed that. So I got Secure Objective 4 twice off of the Rhino over here. I got Big Game Hunter off of the drop pod. And I got Kingslayer off of Logan. And Kingslayer is a D3. So rolling that up now. I rolled a 1, so I just get 1 victory point for that one. So that's a total of 4 achieved this turn. As well as Slay the Warlord. Will's clearly jumping into his turn now, and we'll be right back.
Alright, so another not so great turn on my turn 6. Basically, plasmed a bunch of guys, and Niall tried to do some shenanigans to try and smite and do all sorts of stuff. He basically failed horribly. Niall charged both units just for a bit of a giggle. He basically whiffed and didn't kill anything. And then the Berserkers basically murdered him in return. End of my turn, I didn't score any cards because I didn't have anything that was worth fucking getting because it's all on the other side of the table. And then when we rolled for the game to go on, I rolled a 2. So that is it. I managed to not completely die against all this shite. I still have these guys. These guys are amazing. They're still alive. But everything else is dead.
So while we've got the camera rolling,
yep.
let's summarize victory points.
Yep.
So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 Maelstrom cards.
I got none.
What do you mean you got none?
I got none.
What do you mean you got none? Surely you got at least 1.
I got none.
Did you seriously get none?
I got none.
Okay.
I have no Maelstrom cards.
Wow. Okay, so I got however many I just said.
Yeah.
Plus I got Slay the Warlord.
Yeah.
And First Blood.
Yeah. I got Slay the Warlord. Yeah. I got drunk. That was awesome. Yeah, other than that,
both definitely achieved drunkenness.
Yeah.
And you get plus 100 battle points if you're drunk.
So for the clowns who are comping preferred enemy, just remember, this is bad. Right? This is good. This is bad.
Alright, so now in all seriousness, while we've got the camera rolling, what do you think was particularly powerful in my list? And what did you think was particularly powerful in your own list?
To summarize, it's not about particular units. Like Be'lakor was definitely far stronger, and if I'd known more about how his rules worked, I might have deployed a fair bit differently, but I don't think that would have actually saved me. I think the end result would have still been the same, essentially.
I think Be'lakor being able to get that turn 1 charge
just murdered everything.
By moving forward and then using warp time on himself to move forward again, I think that's going to catch a lot of people off guard.
Absolutely.
I don't think people are going to expect it, and I'm hoping to use that to my advantage in the tournament this weekend.
I think it's a combination. Like Be'lakor and the Helldrake are both, very aggressive, and you can be very aggressive with the Berserkers, or you can not. Like you pretty much rolled it back from fucking turn 2 onwards because you didn't need to be any more aggressive.
Well, these Berserkers only got out turn 5.
That's right.
They didn't need to get out any earlier than that.
Even honestly, the berserkers that got out over here and charged and they killed some stuff, but they didn't even really need to. They could have just basically backed off to that side of the table where all the objectives are. Note for those people playing at home, careful where you put your objectives when you got random deployment zones. That makes it difficult, but at the same time...
one of the things to consider about berserkers that I think people dramatically underestimate is that berserkers are an amazing psychological tool.
Correct.
Because I was able to put my rhinos with berserkers, and basically that meant that when Will was deploying and moving his units, he wanted to stay the fuck away. Whereas if this was a pure gun line, all I had was shooting, Will would have been like, drop pod here, Terminators here, and he would have been trying to push my shit in from the start.
That's right.
But because I had those berserkers, it made him scared to come near me.
And it's not just the berserkers on their own. It's a simple fact that they're in rhinos, so you can paste rhinos all day if you've got the tools to do it. But if you're in close, pasting those rhinos gets you nowhere because you still get countercharged. And those berserkers are very, very strong.
And that's the thing about berserkers in rhinos particularly is... Yeah, even if your opponent drops down and they shoot your rhinos and they charge your rhinos and they kill them, they're not killing the berserkers.
That's right.
And then the berserkers just charge them back and wipe them out, and then you win. So berserkers in a rhino are a really strong play because you can't alpha strike them because you can only alpha strike the rhinos. You can't alpha strike the berserkers.
Unless you've got enough.
Alpha strike the if you get close enough that you can alpha strike the rhinos, you're making yourself vulnerable to the berserkers.
And that's only if you've got enough to basically alpha strike the rhino, kill the rhino in its entirety, and then kill the contents inside. But you're probably only going to have enough to do basically one unit of berserkers and one unit of rhinos.
In order to pull that off, you need to be able to sequence it as well. You need to be able to drop down and shoot the rhino,
paste it,
then charge the berserkers. Whereas if your alpha strike is purely around charging, you won't be able to do both.
You can't. So you need to be balanced. I think I could have potentially been more aggressive with my list. I don't know if the result would have really changed that much. But I could have made it, I think, a little bit harder. I had some decisions that I made over here that may not have been so good. Going back on it, I mean, I think my units are surprisingly stronger, but then when you've got Predators with las cannons, Terminators, unfortunately, are pretty crap.
I think Terminators, they're good in certain situations, but if somebody like Be'lakor gets into combat with Terminators...
They just die.
They're effectively the same as cultists. You know, like, they just fucking fall apart.
And unfortunately, there's not a way to make them any more survivable. Again, shooting, Niall's got a nice bubble in terms of giving them a cover save, which is pretty strong, but it doesn't save them in combat, and it doesn't give them any way to stop them. Once they get wounded, they just kind of die. And they are, fairly expensive for what they do. But that's just the way the dice roll, and you learn your lessons, and you think about it. Live to fight another day, and I'll have fun. I have a nicely painted army, far better painted than this one. I'm just saying. It was definitely fun and an interesting learning. You got any more to add to that, Dean?
The only thing that I'd add to the end of that little short spiel that we had on the end there is that if there's anything you guys want to see in a upcoming battle report, chuck it in the comments below, because I've got like a million of armies that I have access to. It can be Space Wolves, pretty much anything that Space Wolves have. Pretty much anything that any Imperial army has, whether it be Sisters of Battle, whether it be Space Marines, whether it be any of the sub-factions of Space Marines, I have access to it all through my network. I've also got access to literally any combination of Chaos you can think of, as long as it's Khorne. I also have some Death Guard and some Thousand Suns available. But basically, the point I want to say is chuck a comment below with what you want to see in a future battle report, and I will do my best to make sure that we bring that content to you. With that being said, thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in our next battle report.
All places in the galaxy worship their own chosen deity in one way or another. Whether it be through perceived right unrighteousness or misplaced zeal, through building monuments and temples to destroying those of opposing gods. However, intentionally or not, the entire galaxy worships our god through the endless slaughter that drowns the galaxy in blood. All races, all factions worship the Lord of Skulls, the Father